Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for listening. We are going to be joined by Michael from the JMU podcast. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Man, I don't even know how to start this thing. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Oh wait, you know what? We're not even.
You didn't join him.
You didn't join him.
I didn't join him. There he is.
I was gonna say, I was waiting for myself to show up, but maybe this was like a prank because
I'm still. We think that purple is so ugly of a color, it just doesn't actually show up on our stream. So
Exactly.
actually, I guess that's how I joked with these guys before, and I guess that's how I'll start this. We'll start off a little lighthearted here. Did you actually like the color purple before you attended James Madison?
That is a great question.
Ooh, toughie.
That is a good one because it does represent royalty.
Because my go-to thing, whenever we're talking about you guys, I always lean into purple being an ugly color. And Ryan over here, Ryan's always like, I like purple. Purple's a great color. I love purple.
So I like it.
I like
say that,
like, I didn't recognize. Yeah, I didn't really recognize purple until I spent my 4 years at JMU, and then if you talk to any Duke alum or JMU alum, it becomes their favorite color. It's all over. It's everywhere, right? Purple and the Vegas gold.
You should have just said your favorite color when you were in kindergarten was purple. We'd all be like, all right, well, you love purple.
Yeah, they're just purple. It stands out there. I don't think I've ever owned anything that was purple. Like when they tried to start that AFL, what was it called? The AAF, that AAF football league here. They played at Georgia State.
So many versions. Yeah.
They played at Georgia State Stadium. So I'm like, of course, there's an Atlanta team playing at Georgia State Stadium. I have got to be a fan of them. And then they announced them as having purple colors. I was like, maybe I don't have to be that big of a fan after all.
It was just weird because it looked the color scheme they picked for that looked very much like a Louisiana style, like a New Orleans.
Yeah,
it was all set up.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it depends, like the shade of purple. Like,
well, it's mixed. If it's mixed with like gold and silver and stuff like that, it's New Orleans. Like if you don't mix it with that stuff, it's it's just purple.
Yeah,
exactly. And at some point, it's just lavender. I've been told that's a color.
Oh man, purple's great.
All right. Let's just start off. Yeah, we haven't talked to you guys at all. So let's just start off with, you're one of the newest teams to the Sun Belt Conference, kind of came in by storm, which annoys the hell out of me. So you guys were a good FCS program. You were a great FCS program. Why did it take so long for you guys to get that invite, or were you guys turning down invites to conferences?
I mean, we can talk about this all day, but we used to be conference foes, right? I think we played 2 games together in the prior conference that shall not be named.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's 2 things, right? I think number one, we had a very patient and strategic athletic director in Jeff Bourne, who just retired this past year, that really wanted to put James Madison in a very advantageous position. So I think it's well documented. Back in 2013, we did have a invitation to join the Sun Belt. At the time, we declined it due to a couple of things. Number one, we needed a new basketball arena. We needed updated softball and baseball facilities. We had a lot to do from an infrastructure standpoint.
And we got in with our crap.
Exactly.
To do.
But then number two also, right, was like a lot of the conference realignment at the time was very much market driven. That's how Charlotte got in. Dare I say, I know that my folks in Norfolk will hate me, but Old Dominion got in, right? The Conference USA. You bring in the Atlanta market, right? Like it was very market driven. But we declined the Sun Belt, and then that invitation ended up going to Coastal Carolina, and the rest is history, right? So at the time, we hated our administration, given that we were always told 18 to 24 months. That was the big quote that we would move up to FBS, and it never happened. But looking back, I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah. So you touched on, did you guys turn down a Sun Belt invitation or just kind of hold off a Sun Belt? Were you guys wanting Conference USA, or were you expecting a different conference invite or something?
I mean, honestly, like we're James Madison. We were hoping like the American would come calling, right? What more American, right, than the James Madison?
Skip all the levels. Just move all the way out.
It's not that weird. We thought the same thing. Don't worry. Like, it is what it is.
No, I mean, remember 2013, right? Like, think about who was in the Sun Belt. It was like Idaho. It was New Mexico State. I think New Mexico was in the league. It was a league of. It was kind of like the redheaded stepchilds of
Well,
all
you
the
mentioned
other.
that.
It
You
was
mentioned the
weird
two teams
hodgepodge.
that were football only and were on
Exactly.
short contracts. They were only in the league for like 4 years. I think we only played Idaho 2 times in the entire time. But yeah, I get it. It trying to figure something out. It was
Yeah, but you missed out on the Kibby
position-
Dome. You missed out on the Kibby Dome.
I
We're
guess.
0-2.
Yeah,
We're 0-2 to
I
Idaho.
went to the Fargo Dome. That was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like
All right.
that was fun. That was a terrible game, but it was. I would say that trumped the Kibby Dome. That's for sure.
All right.
No, I get it. You're a successful program. You don't need to be FCS. You don't need to be FBS. So you can kind of like bide your time to see what you wanted to do. And yeah, I don't know. I was really surprised. I talked down about you guys, and this is I'm eating crow now. I talked down about you guys joining the conference. I'm like, these guys think they're going to be such badasses, and they're going to come in here and they're going to realize what FBS football is like. And while I realize that Georgia State's still trying to figure out what FBS football is like, but
I was gonna say you guys were still trying to figure out what football was like, right?
Oh, yeah.
2009. Like
We're on a journey, man.
when I was
right?
in college, I remember when y'all came to Bridgeforth. That was a fun day.
Kick a man while they're down. That's
I
messed up,
know.
man. It's messed up.
We're on a long
Hey.
journey, okay? It's going to take a long time for us to figure it out.
Yeah, so I guess that's another. We'll get into the game stuff, but that's another thing I wanted to talk about was like when you guys came in with this. I'm going to say the word swagger, but what I really mean is arrogance. We're just gonna make this league our own, and we're gonna do whatever we want to do, and we control this, we control that, and you did. I mean, you won almost every single game in your first 2 seasons when you were still like transitioning. How does that? I mean, just how does an FCS team come in with that kind of success? Like, we were not there. We were barely a football program when we started in the Sun Belt, but just after us, we saw, Appy State and the Trash Down South join, and they were 2 also very good FCS programs that came in, immediately had success. Despite our best interests. And then Coastal came in, not as great success, but then the COVID year, they, I guess COVID turned into steroids for those guys or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
The mullet
And
years.
they've come back down to earth, even though they beat you guys. And
no, we beat them pretty
beat them?
handily.
Oh, yeah,
Coastal?
it's Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. It's Monroe. that
Oh,
beat you guys.
Monroe.
So how was James Madison so primed and ready for the Sun Belt and FBS football?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, it comes down to like legacy and expectations, right? So, like, if you think about it, we haven't had a losing season since I think 2002 when we went 6-6, and in the last decade we've had I think an 82% win percentage. So you think about expectation, right? Like playoffs, championships at the FCS level. We've always batted, or we've always recruited at a high level, right? I would say we recruited more like a MAC Sunbelt program, even though we had 22 less scholarships at the FCS level. We always had FBS facilities, so we knew what type of athletes we can come in here. So to us, it was more around we have 22 extra scholarships to get 22 high level athletes to join the program. And we were already competitive at 63. Right. You think at 2015, we beat SMU 48-45. 2017, we beat ECU 34-10. I think we had like 400 yards rushing. You think of 2018, we lost to NC State by 1 score. We lost to West Virginia by 1 score in 2019. The list goes on, right? We've always been able to compete at a high level. So when we looked at the Sun Belt, we also had a very seasoned team, right? We had a program of juniors and seniors, and now moving into FBS, we're able to also recruit sort of the grad transfers and some of the older guys that have been productive at the FCS level to help with that transition. So at the end of the day, winning breeds winning, and I think it's the expectation. And
we know nothing about that.
Yeah. Like sometimes
Is that what we're doing wrong? That's what we're doing wrong.
That's where we went wrong.
Like we might not
also,
always
like,
have the best athletes, but they knew how to play football, right? I think that's the difference with what we've done over the last 3 years.
And you guys did come in at an oddly weird time to transition with the COVID stuff. There was the COVID year where they were allowing the extra scholarships and the extra years and stuff like that. So kind of gave you a slight advantage over other teams that have
Well, I
done the
think
same
everyone
thing.
else had it too, right?
But
Like
as far as
everyone had.
transitioning, but like, as far as like being that team that went up from FCS to FBS, nobody's ever had that kind of extra, thing going on. So I mean, I'm not saying that's the reason, that's the sole reason, but it adds to the mix, So
I think I'll add to it too. Like when you think of James Madison teams, FCS or FBS, we've always had dominant line of scrimmages, right? Like we always had offensive linemen that went to the NFL. We always had defensive linemen that went to the NFL. You think of guys that are productive. That's where we've built the program. So when we transitioned up, it's sort of like adding to it, right? Like
Right.
I think at the end of the day, it's a line of scrimmage game. If you could dominate out front, just surround it with different athletes, I think we transition just fine.
gotcha. Guys, I've been hogging the whole thing. You guys got a question for Mike?
I mean, I don't really have a question, but it's just more along the lines of like, Appy came in with the Trash Down South, and they both did pretty well their first year, right? And the Trash Down South fell really fast, like their second
Well,
year.
they ran the triple option for 2 years, right? Like let's call it what
No,
it is.
yeah, right. But it's a gimmick that does work.
100%. Yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly why they did well.
Yeah, exactly. It's because they didn't have very good athletes, and so that's what you do. But Appy came in, to me,
Blazing.
that seems really similar to how JMU came in. They came in with like a history of winning, came in really strong, and have won for many years. Like this is their first down year they've had. How do you think your fans are going to take it when that inevitably happens? Right, you guys are going to have a down year. It's going to happen. I mean, it happens to everybody.
I think it's happening right now. Call it what it is.
6-2
It's 6-2.
down.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
stop.
Well, I'm just saying, if you've been on the message board, if you've been on the internet, it's as if the sky is falling for JMU Nation. I'm not even kidding.
So it's going to
Really?
be really
Falling
bad
for
when you actually
coaches,
have a bad year.
players. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
You can go again. I'm sorry. I talked over you. That was.
No, you're good, man.
I just was like, man, you guys are having like a winning season. You've lost only a couple games. Like this isn't a down year. I know that the fans think it is probably problematic. Because you're gonna have a year where you have a sub 500 year. It's gonna happen.
We'll see. Hopefully not. But yeah, we get it,
all right.
right? Like, no, I mean, we were posed this question the same in 2020, right? Like we were going to come in 21, we were going to learn about FBS football, all this stuff. But I think like it's a strange year for us. We're 6-2, but it's been a tumultuous 6-2. We've seen a team that scored 70 points, but we've also seen a team that can't snap the ball, right? You've got two totally different sides of the game. But I think like we're seeing a little bit of what the fan base can be on down times, which is kind of scary and borderline like dangerous at times, like just with social media and such. But I can only imagine what it would be if we were sub 500. I think we would be calling pitchforks and calling for people to get fired.
Yeah, coach was getting fired, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, coach was going to get fired 2 weeks ago, according to the fan base.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
we lost to TDS, and I called for our first year coach's head. So don't that is what it is. I say you can't lose against those guys and not have a coach on the hot seat. You can't do. I don't care how long you've been here. It could have been his first game here. You lose.
Hey,
Come on, man. Not to them.
hey,
Yeah.
Ryan. Spoiler alert: James Madison lost to TDS a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
So-
28-14.
Be on the hot seat, man. He should. He really should be on the hot seat.
So that's the question I got for you, Michael. Like, so you guys came in, good season, like you said, 6-2, whatever. Hung 70 points on UNC. I mean, you gave up 50, but when you're scoring 70, you don't really care what your defense is doing, right? You score 70 points against UNC, and then you lose to the trash down south. I was rooting against you guys all season long. One game, I'm not rooting against you, and you go in and you lose that game. What the hell were you guys doing that game?
That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. And by the way, against UNC, it was 52-21 at halftime. So, like, I mean,
But like, did anyone play defense? Honestly,
we had a pick six. We had we forced 6 turnovers. So I guess it's modern day defense, right? Call it what it is. Yeah, man. I mean that is the Jekyll and Hyde with this team for 2024, right? You've got the team that scored 70 points against UNC that looked like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you've got the team against ULM and, to your point, TDS that we had 13 penalties. I think 8 of them were false starts. We
Oh,
couldn't even
wow.
snap the ball, like procedural penalties. And like we couldn't even get the ball going, right? So you have these two types of teams, and you kind of we're not sure which one's going to show up, right? Like, after the UNC game, we put 63 points on Ball State, which was like totally unexpected. We expected
Hey,
a little bit
we put
more.
71 on Ball State in
basketball.
basketball.
Oh, there you go. By the way, JMU's 1-0. We beat Ohio last night, who was the MAC champion.
We beat Ball
Excellent.
State. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same
was the
thing.
only Sun Belt team to lose Old Dominion.
No, I think we went 8-4.
There's a couple 8-4. Yeah.
The conference went 8-4.
Is Ball State MAC too? Did we just beat up on the MAC? Is that what we did?
We did. We
This
beat on the
was
MAC Sun Belt
Ryan,
Challenge.
I'm not sure if you're aware. There's a Sun Belt MAC challenge that happens.
You were at
also,
the game.
Yeah, you were at the game.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Why would I know that? It's the MAC. I don't give a shit.
Because you
Why would I give a
co-host
shit?
a podcast about Georgia State sports.
Yeah, but it's the MAC. I'm talking about Georgia State. I don't care about MAC.
Anyhow,
Isn't there MACtion tonight? That's the big news, right?
There's
Yeah,
MACtion starting up. We're in November. Yeah.
yeah. We get Conference USA gets October, and then MACtion gets November. Is that how it works?
Conference USA still FBS? I forgot.
Ooh, but yeah, we agree. Completely.
All right, Michael, I'm starting to like you a lot here. All right. So just give us a brief, what is this team what is the team that Georgia State fans are going to see on Saturday? What's the style of offense? What's the style of defense? What's the strengths? What's the weaknesses? What are we looking for? What are we looking at? What are we coming into?
I mean, you're going to hate this, but we don't even know what we are sometimes, right? Like we'll have, we have glimpses of being like this power rushing team that when you look at it on paper, we're averaging 6 yards a carry. Yet it doesn't translate to points. But then we'll have glimpses of us throwing the ball down the field, going 5 wide, yet we can't snap the ball, right, and have false starts and such, right? So I think we're dealing with sort of modern college football, which is we've got 70 new players that have all played together for the first time, and 7 weeks in, we're still trying to figure out who our identity is. Right. I will say our defense has been very dominant, which has really been impressive. So defensively, like, you're going to see the same JMU you've seen a couple years ago, where we're going to have a dominant line of scrimmage. We've got a lot of really good athletes outside, and we've recruited production. You'll see all across the depth chart, we've got a lot of seniors in the DB room, linebacker room, because that's who we can get, right? Like, we've got guys that started 40 to 50 games or 30 to 40 games at their prior programs. And they want to come here to win. So I think you see a lot of production within especially in the secondary. Offensively, I think it all starts. It's going to be a boring answer, but if our offensive line can kind of figure it out, whether it's pass protection or run block, I think it's going to be a long day for y'all, just to be completely honest. But if you can do what ULM and what did you say, TDS did,
yeah,
trash down south,
just blitz the A gap all day until we decide to do something about it. I mean, that's kind of been I say this because we got a ton of tape, but that's been the formula against JMU is if you can blitz us up front, rush the quarterback, that typically means bad news for us. Right?
So you're saying that Southern copied ULM. TDS copied ULM's game plan.
As crazy as it seems, if you look at the stat line, we had 13 penalties. We had, I think, we gave up over 200 yards rushing to each program. I think we only had like barely 200 yards passing. We dominated the run game, which is interesting. Yet we lost the game.
Right.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you beat yourselves. Essentially, you're going to we need you to beat yourselves so we can beat you.
Yeah. And I don't want to come off as arrogant, but it's kind of what happens, right? Like,
I was going to say
that's why we're calling for coaches and players to be held accountable, because like we feel like sometimes we can't snap the ball, and whose fault is that?
We would love to be 6-2.
Yeah,
going into this week, we would love to be. And in fact, kind of that fan arrogance you're talking about, your fans are losing their shit for 2 losses, and I get it. It's ULM, it's Southern, right? But I remember last year when you guys came to Atlanta, talking to some of your fans. One of them was completely arrogant. He's like, "We're never losing our head coach. He will never leave JMU. He will die here." I'm like, he will be gone after this year. There will be money. There is a number. Like, So like it's kind of interesting to hear you. Some of your fans are losing their shit over 2 losses, which I guess when you're this good,
They're bad
2
losses.
bad losses to
Terrible
teams
losses.
that
Terrible.
terrible losses. I guess I get it.
Any loss to Trash Down South is a terrible loss.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
ULM.
wait.
I mean, it's like that's rough.
But I mean,
No one
I
wants
hate-
to lose to ULM.
I hate the entire state of Louisiana, but I can still admit that Monroe's been having a good season. So like that
Yeah,
one, I'm
they
kind
have,
of like,
for sure.
all right, that kind of sucks. But
I mean, the Monroe game reminded us of like going in New Hampshire when we were FCS, or like Maine, where you're playing in front of 200 people. You've got to bring your own energy, and like it's just weird, right? It's
I
just
did not
weird.
realize that New Hampshire was a bunch of like Bayou Hicks that are all inbred and didn't know how to like.
It's not much different, David. It's not.
New Hampshire
really
is
not.
like, we've had some of the worst games in our program going up to middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. It is,
Yeah.
you have to like take a flight, drive 2 hours. There's nobody at the game. The hotel is like an hour away. It's just a weird place to play, just like Monroe.
Which is why Atlanta is so awesome in playing Georgia State, because you
There's
can
hotels
literally just take,
everywhere.
you can just like hand all your players a MARTA card and they can just get to the stadium, same day. It's easy time,
I was gonna say
Yeah, I know we had a W last time we went to your stadium last year.
You've
but we
had a
did
W
lose.
every time we played each other. We've never beaten you. Shut up.
It was
Well, we
interesting.
lost
It was,
our best
it was,
player. He tore his ACL at the fourth quarter against you guys, so that was always tough.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I remember the year before that we played you guys. We were up, and it was like
It was 24-7.
I felt like your team
halftime.
was losing their shit. I'm like, we're all like, don't worry, we got the second half coming. You'll
Well, that was
come
funny,
back.
'cause I heard. I think your coaches or your players were like heckling at our band, which I think got us back into the game a little bit. I don't know. I think you got the crowd back in. All that good stuff started happening.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that at all. It doesn't sound like the guys we have, but I'd never put it past game day energy. You never know what's going to happen. You guys got? I got more questions, but I've been monopolizing. You guys got anything
I've got some
before I start?
questions for you guys, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Hit us up. Hit us up.
So I was looking at the coaching staff, and I noticed your running backs coach is Will Healy, who was an up and coming FCS guy for a while, ended up in Charlotte, and then maybe was in kind of the name, kind of in the pool of candidates back in the day for JMU, and we kind of followed him pretty well. Like, curious if you have any thoughts on him and sort of impact on like recruiting or whatnot.
Oh, I'll tell you, our running game feels like it's been like one of the one things that's been consistently working. And like just coming out of the backfield, we feel like we have a strong running game generally. But the offensive line has been really rough. So like they're just taking what they can get. But it seems like they can get a lot more than they probably deserve based on the offensive line play. So the coaching must be doing something right.
Yeah, the coaching staff, I'm sure we cleaned house and coaching staff, not intentionally. Our coach left, in the 2 games into spring training this season, so we got Del McGee from Georgia, and he brought in. I honestly really thought we were gonna just appoint an interim head coach and just run with it for a year. We bring in Del McGee. He hires a whole new coach. He found some money somewhere, or he did something. I don't know what happened, but we got money to bring in a lot of extra coaches. So yeah, we brought in some great coaches, and we've been in every game we've played. We just haven't figured out how to close them out. So I was preparing for the podcast this week, I was going back and looking at all the box score stuff for the UConn game we played last week, and man, like we led them in pretty much every stat you want to lead in, with the exception of they did own us on the running game, but we led them in total yards and passing yards. We led them in everything. Two turnovers that did not go in our favor. I guess that cost us the game with a 7-point game, but we like our coaching staff.
I don't know if you listened to our episode on Sunday night, but like we gave you guys a lot of shout out, right? Because I think Del McGee inherited a tough situation, right, with Sean Elliott leaving right in the spring. Yet you beat Vanderbilt. You've been in every game. You found a way to fill a roster out, right? Like with a summer. We're expecting a battle, I think, at the end of the day, right? And we joke around about records and whatever, but like it doesn't matter until the ball snap, and we're expecting a battle. You guys hit everyone well.
I think you guys are like 16 and a half, 17-point favorites in the game. I don't like the game being up there. Not that we really have a home field advantage, and nothing really matters with this coaching staff. But historically, Georgia State's played better in away games against teams that have full stands. I don't know what it is, but I think that if somehow, some way, Georgia State can find a chance to get a lead in the game, get an early touchdown, get an early 2-score lead or something like that, I think they have the drive to maintain that. But playing from behind, I don't think that Georgia State has a shot in this game. I think it's just going to be too tough. But if we can get out there somehow, ball bounces our way early, and we haven't talked about it. Ryan, Tim, and I haven't talked about it at all this week yet. But that's just kind of my impression going into this game. We've got to strike early and strike hard and just keep going.
You guys have the weapons, right? Like I think wide receiver Hurst is the guy. Like
that Hurst is fantastic. He'll be playing in some SEC team next season. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and then like Freddie Brock, your running back is fantastic too.
Performed well.
Freddie Brock, yep. Does Freddie have another season, or is Freddie done this year? Is he a senior? I don't even know.
I'm a little salty.
No, he's a junior. He's a junior.
We didn't even know. We did not know who the hell Freddie Brock was until the bowl game last season, where because we had Marcus Carroll, who just when you have a guy like Marcus, you don't really care who the next guy up is. But Marcus, went to the transfer portal, and he went to Missouri? Is that where he went, or was he?
Yeah, Mizzou.
Yeah, and then so we got Freddie Brock, and we're like, in Utah State game? We're like, who the hell is this dude?
And nowhere.
Yeah, and he really hasn't let up. Like Ryan said, the offensive line hasn't given him a lot of opportunities, but I think that he may have been like the little best kept hidden weapon in the Sun Belt as far as the running back position goes, just behind Marcus the entire time. So,
well, the funny thing is, I don't think anyone in any of the JMU fans knew anyone on the defensive and offensive side to start the season, to be completely honest, which is pretty nuts. But I was going to say, like, I'm still salty. You guys stole a defensive line recruit from us last year in Diablo. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but when the coaching staff turned over, he decommitted and went to you also. A little salty about that still.
Well, none of those guys are here, so no reason to hate us for that. What is the sell to Harrisonburg? How do you get what? I mean, obviously you get the JMU program, the success and everything, but the question I was going to ask was for Georgia State fans making the trip, what are the hot spots they need to see in Harrisonburg? But like along with that, what is it about Harrisonburg that gets players that want to come there and play?
I mean, you've got the tradition, right? But like from an educational standpoint, you're looking at one of the largest public universities in the state of Virginia, with the mission is to continue growing, right? I think there's like 24,000 students there now. There was 20 when I was there 10 years ago. I think they want to get to 30,000 eventually. Education-wise, like great business school, great nursing school. It started out as an education college back in the day. I think you've got a really good mix of like work hard, play hard culture. A lot of our students end up in DC working for a consulting company.
So hot nurses, you're getting guys to go there because they want to be with hot nurses.
No, a bunch of them are nursing.
If you watch the Pat McAfee show last year, I talked about it was like a 70-30 ratio when I was there. It's probably more like 60-40 now. But that's definitely a big draw recreationally, right? But like when you guys come in town, like, I mean, we got the beautiful mountains in the background. We got the Shenandoah National Park right there. Shenandoah Valley is gorgeous. A lot of really fun breweries around the area.
You have my interest.
Yeah. That's kind of what draws folks, right? And obviously we win too, so that helps.
There you go.
First time I saw y'all stadium, which is beautiful. It's a really nice stadium. It's been nice
for
a long
time.
Needs
to be finished first off. Yeah,
no, it's fine. It's a good looking stadium, even if you're missing
half of it, right? That's the joke. Half of it's finished.
But but I drove by and I was like, holy shit, that's a really nice stadium. Holy shit, that's JMU. And I was on my way to like a resort up there because like that's the kind of area that you're in. You got like mountain resorts and stuff right a couple hours away. So it's nice area for sure.
Yeah. Fun fact: our football stadium is the tallest stadium in the state of Virginia by like a foot, and I think that was on purpose. created it. So
That sounds right.
like the top left corner where they put the away fans is the tallest.
Yeah. I think I remember when they were building some skyscraper or some crap, it was going to be, I don't remember where it was going to be the tallest. And then at the same time, another one was being built that was going to be just like 6 inches taller. So the architects went back and they made the little needle at the top of the thing an extra foot just to make it be taller. But yeah, no, I drove past y'all stadium. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. My wife's in New York, so we drive through Virginia, everything, and I'm like, oh look, Old Dominion, and then I was like, check the map where I was. Like, oh no, I don't know how. I don't know how geography works. This is James Madison.
It's close. It's not. It's not close at all.
It's not close.
So speaking of Old Dominion, like would you consider Old Dominion like your biggest rival in the conference or biggest who is James Madison's rival like that you guys play every year?
So obviously the in-state stuff helps with Old Dominion, right? And like when they started their program, we lost our first 2 games against them. We were really bitter. We've obviously turned it around the last 2 games and dominated them. But we really think App State. I mean, even before the Sun Belt, we had a history against Appalachian State. Our coaches were very close. Jerry Moore and Mickey Matthews. I mean, they were cronies from back in the day. But if you look at some of the best games we had in our FCS days, it was against Appalachian State. And it was always JMU and App State up and down. They were in the SoCon. We were in the prior conference. So coming into this situation alongside Marshall and Old Dominion, it just created those old school regional rivalries that our fan base really cared about. And we got super excited. So you can imagine 3 years ago when we were down 28-3 in the first half. I know that's a tough score for you guys.
Don't want to hear about it.
No. That was special in 2021.
Excellent. Yeah. So ODU's a rival, Appalachian State's a rival. What is the beef? What's the grief that they give you? Like what's the monikers, the names? How do they talk down on you? I need to know what we're supposed to say and scream at the TV on Saturday. What are the appropriate ways to talk shit about James Madison?
I mean, I haven't been on the message boards in a while. I think we used to be called the Barneys, going back to the purple. They look
Barneys. I could see that. Yeah.
Grimace.
Yeah. I haven't heard Old Dominion talk smack in a while because they haven't had anything to stand on.
We just call you Jimmy Madison.
Well, I like Jimmy. That's cool.
You like that? Jimmy Madison or Jimmy Mads when I'm being brief. I call you Jimmy Mads.
Yeah. We kind of like that, though.
You like that?
David,
right. Well, screw that. We're getting rid of that.
Yeah, David's done,
guys. Done.
I mean, you can make fun of our metal stadium. I know we get that a lot because it's a lot of it's more metal than anything.
Georgia State's got. We love our stadium. We think our stadium's fantastic, but no one else likes it, so we don't really have a room to make fun of somebody else's stadium, I guess.
I have to ask though, the damn train whistle or whatever it is.
Train horn. Yes, sir.
Atlanta was once known as Terminus, which is like where all the trains ended up, and it's a big train terminal basically for everything. So we're just known for our trains. So we do a train horn.
And then Tim, right? Atlanta United.
Atlanta United also uses train horn, Terminus, the whole thing. It all plays in, right? So that's where it comes from.
Yeah, the biggest fan club for Atlanta United was the Terminus Legion, right?
Terminus Legion, which Terminus Legion is by far the sexiest name I've ever heard. Like when they announced we're getting an MLS team, I'm like, get rid of Atlanta. Let's just call the team Terminus Legion. Such a better name than Atlanta United.
Would have been awesome.
A billion times over. But yeah, that's my soapbox.
Interesting.
So it's good to hear the why behind it. This is what I love about college football, right? We always have legacies and traditions. So there you go.
We also played in Oregon in our first games at the new stadium. So because it was the Braves organist who went to Georgia State, we got him to play, and that went over like a lead balloon. So well. Yeah, so train horn it is.
Honestly, I live about 2 blocks from the stadium, and I hear train horns all the time, and not all of them come from the stadium because there's just trains around here, and there's I think it's just known. It's just a thing. We have trains.
I live a block from our from MARTA, our transit system here, and they don't drop the horns too often, but I definitely hear the rolling of the tracks just from my place. So
the next time you do come to a game or watch it on TV, it will not be consistent. We've dropped off on the consistency of playing our train horn for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. It's too hard to press the button at the right time now. Who knows?
For sure.
I just remember like half our conversation in the text messages were about the train horn.
Honestly, when they first started doing it, we're like, okay, that's a
little loud.
Thing. It's a thing. It's loud. It's what they do. Whatever. It'd be less loud if there was fans in the stands. But
they've turned it down a little bit. They've adjusted it based on the feedback and stuff. So I think they're trying to get it right.
But you hit the message boards, you hit social media, and you see how the opposing fan bases loathe the train horn. And I'm like,
turn
more
it up.
Train horn, sir. I need more train horn.
That's your home field advantage. Turn it up. Don't lower it down.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if you have little kids, but as soon as you tell them not to do something, that's what they're going to do the rest of their lives. So that's what we are. You guys, not just JMU, but like all the Sunbelt teams, everybody that comes here hates the train horn. And so we have leaned into it in a very, very hard way. We're a big fan of the train horn.
And you get used to it because if you're having a conversation with someone and you know it's about to sound, you just pause what you're saying, wait 2 seconds, and then pick right back up.
Until they do that one time where they do it 3 times and you're like, oh, crap.
Yes.
Well, this past year when we score touchdowns now, they shoot the fireworks, which always catches us off guard, and then they shoot the cannon too. So it's like these big booms right after each other, and it's still
they're shooting again.
Exactly.
How does that impact the throwing of the streamers?
Yeah.
Freak out and throw it the wrong way?
I think it accentuates it. So you got purple and gold streamers, you got fireworks, you got the cannon. Everyone's going nuts, and I'm pretty inebriated at that point, so I don't know what's happening. It's just a big old party.
Yeah, you guys. Do you guys tailgate as a podcast, or do you guys all of you guys kind of do your own things, or are you guys like tight together? Because like we all hang out together, but then we've talked to like the App State guys. They have separate separate tailgates and crap like that. You guys all together?
We've got separate tailgates. I think we've got different places, but like in about an hour before the kickoff, I try to like go around and we all meet each other and kind of say hello and maybe even like post a video or whatnot or a selfie just for fun.
Yeah.
And then we meet up after the game and do like a post game recap for like 30 seconds. So
wow. Talk about that. We can't do it.
I do not think I do not think that there is any form of a way where Ryan, Tim, and me talking on a podcast after a game is a good thing for the podcast.
No. I've never been more blackout drunk than I have after a Georgia State.
Well, it's usually like a 30-second like snippet because it's me trying to be coherent, and then like John throws in all the clips and all that fun stuff, and I'm like, okay, we look fine.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, appreciate you, Michael. We went a bit longer than I told you we were going to go, but it was a great conversation. I still don't like Jimmy Madison any more than I did before this, but you seem like a fun guy, and I would definitely have a beer with you, and that's how I judge people, is whether I'd have a drink with you or not. And you sound like somebody that I would love to have a drink with, just maybe on a bye week. We could have a beer together or something like that.
Well, I always say, like, until the ball kicks off, if you guys are making the trip, like, come over, we'll tailgate, we have food, drinks, whatever, introduce you to some other folks. Until the ball's kicked off, I think we're all friends, so.
Sounds good. And the moment that clock hits 0, we're all good together again. So thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate you for joining us.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
For sure.